It's hard to talk about the original Night Stalker, or ONS, without feeling a chill. He was active for years, doing terrible things. And one of the things that stands out, one of the details that makes your skin crawl, is that he kept souvenirs. He took things from his victims. Not just once, but many times. It wasn't random. It was a pattern. And understanding why he did that, why any predator does that, tells us a lot about the darkest corners of the human mind. It's a hard topic, but it's important to look at it honestly. When we talk about souvenirs in this context, we aren't talking about a trinket from a vacation. We are talking about items taken during or after a violent crime. These aren't innocent mementos. They are pieces of someone else's life, taken by force, taken with malicious intent. For someone like the ONS, these objects held a very specific, twisted meaning. They were more than just things. They proved they were reminders they were part of his secret, violent world. Think about power. That's a huge one. For predators, especially serial offenders, the urge to control, to dominate, is often at the very core of their actions. The crime itself is an act of extreme power. They decide who lives and who dies, who suffers and how. And taking a souvenir, a personal item from the victim, extends that power beyond the crime scene. It's like a tangible piece of their control. It's a way to say, I was here, I did this, and I took this because I could. The victim had no say, the victim couldn't stop it. The souvenir is a constant reminder of that absolute power the perpetrator held in that moment. And this power isn't just about the act itself, it's about what happens afterward in the perpetrator's private world. The ONS, like many serial offenders, lived a double life. On the surface, he was a regular person, but underneath, he was a monster. The souvenirs were a bridge between these two worlds. They were concrete proof of his secret life, a life where he was in control, where he was powerful, where he could do whatever he wanted without consequence. He could look at these items, touch them, and relive that feeling of absolute dominance. It's a perverse form of gratification. It feeds an ego that needs constant validation through destruction. Then there's the idea of reliving the crime. The act itself is a high for some predators. It's a rush. But that rush doesn't last forever. So how do they keep it going? How do they extend that feeling? Souvenirs play a big role here. They become triggers. They allow the perpetrator to mentally go back to the scene, to re-experience the thrill, the fear, the power. It's like a personal dark replay button. They can sit alone, surrounded by these stolen items, and reconstruct the events in their mind, savoring every disturbing detail. It keeps the fantasy alive, it keeps the excitement from fading. For the ONS, who was known for his meticulous planning and his ability to evade capture for so long, this reliving might have been a crucial part of his process. He was careful, cunning. His crimes were not impulsive in the way some others might be. He thought things through, and the souvenirs could have been part of that mental landscape, a way to prepare for the next crime, to reinforce his capabilities, to keep himself in that predatory mindset. They weren't just random objects, they were pieces of a carefully constructed dark narrative he had built for himself. And this leads us to dehumanization. This is a critical point. To commit the kinds of acts the ONS did, you have to completely strip your victims of their humanity. You cannot see them as people with lives, families, feelings. You have to see them as objects. And taking a souvenir reinforces this. It turns a piece of a human being into a mere object, a trophy, a thing to be collected. It further reduces the victim to something less than human. The item is no longer tied to a person's identity in a respectful way. It's just a possession, a physical manifestation of the violence inflicted. This process of dehumanization is what allows someone to cross moral boundaries that most of us can't even imagine. If you see someone as an object and you don't feel empathy for them, their suffering doesn't matter. Only your gratification does. The souvenir, then, isn't a reminder of a person's pain. It's a reminder of the perpetrator's pleasure and power. It's a chilling insight into a mind devoid of compassion. Souvenirs are also often seen as trophies. For some offenders, each crime is an accomplishment. It's a challenge met, a game won, and trophies are proof of victory. The ONS was exceptionally skilled at evading the police for decades. He was clever, he was elusive. In his twisted mind, each successful attack, each escape might have been a win. And the items he took were his trophies. They were validation, they were evidence of his prowess, his ability to outwit the system, to dominate his victims. This perverse sense of pride can be a huge motivator. It's a way for them to build themselves up, to feel important, even superior. In their everyday lives, they might feel insignificant, overlooked, but in their secret world, with their trophies, they are kings. They are powerful. The items are a secret testament to their perceived greatness, a testament that no one else can see or understand. And that secrecy often makes the feeling even more potent for them. It's their hidden treasure, their dark hoard. The ONS would take various items. Sometimes it was jewelry, sometimes it was a driver's license. Sometimes it was something specific to the victim, like a watch or a ring. These weren't necessarily valuable items in a monetary sense. Their value was entirely psychological. A driver's license, for example, is a piece of identity. Taking it is another way to strip someone of their identity, to claim a piece of who they are. Jewelry often has sentimental value. Taking that adds another layer of violation, of taking something cherished. Each item, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, carried a heavy symbolic weight for him. And think about escalation. This is another part of the Predator's journey. Often, the acts become more daring, more violent over time, the fantasies become more intense. And the need for tangible proof, for more trophies, can escalate too. The early items might suffice for a while, but over time, they might lose some of their potency. So, the Predator needs new ones, or needs to commit more egregious acts to get the same level of gratification. The souvenirs might feed into this cycle, constantly pushing the perpetrator to go further, to do worse things, just to get that same dark thrill. It's a never-ending hunger. This behavior, the taking of souvenirs, highlights the complete and utter absence of empathy in individuals like the ONS. Most people, if they were to harm another person, would be consumed by guilt, remorse, or at least a deep sense of wrongness. But for predators, that's not how their minds work. They don't process the suffering of others in the same way. Their focus is entirely on themselves, on their own desires, their own gratification. The victims are simply instruments to that end. The souvenirs are physical proof of this internal state. They are solid objects that represent the perpetrator's self-centeredness, their complete disregard for human life and dignity. There's no room for empathy when you're collecting pieces of someone's life as a trophy. It's a stark, chilling demonstration of a mind that operates on a completely different moral plane. They don't see the wrongness, they only see the opportunity for self-fulfillment, however twisted that fulfillment might be. Souvenirs are almost always kept hidden. They are part of a secret life, a life the perpetrator carefully guards from the outside world. The ONS was a master of living this dual existence. He had a public persona, a job, perhaps relationships. But in private, he harbored these dark secrets, these physical reminders of his crimes. The secrecy itself can be a powerful part of the allure. The fact that no one else knows, that he alone possesses this knowledge and these items, can heighten the sense of power and control. It's his secret world, his private kingdom, built on the suffering of others. And this secret world often becomes more real to them than their public life. The private thrill, the ability to engage with these objects and relive the crimes, can become the most important part of their existence. It's where they truly feel alive, truly feel powerful. The risk of discovery is always there, of course. But for some, that risk might even add another layer of thrill. It's a constant game of cat and mouse, even when they're alone with their trophy. The danger of getting caught, of their secret being exposed, just adds to the perverse excitement. From a psychological standpoint, there are often deeper issues at play. Many serial offenders have experienced trauma in their own lives, especially in childhood. This doesn't excuse their actions, but it can help us understand the origins of their disturbed psychology. Such trauma can lead to the development of personality disorders, like psychopathy or narcissism. These conditions are often characterized by a lack of empathy, grandiosity, and a need for control. The act of souvenir taking fits perfectly within these frameworks. A psychopath, for instance, operates without a conscience. They are often highly manipulative and charming on the surface, but underneath they are cold and calculating. They see people as pawns. For such an individual, taking a souvenir is simply a logical extension of their predatory behavior. Like, it serves a purpose to solidify their power, to relive their acts, to feed their ego. There's no moral struggle involved. It's purely functional from their perspective. When a narcissist, on the other hand, has an inflated sense of self-importance and a desperate need for admiration. They might see their crimes as proof of their superiority, their unique capabilities. The souvenirs then become physical affirmations of this grandeur. They are evidence of their specialness, their ability to defy societal norms and get away with it. Both psychopathy and narcissism, in their extreme forms, can contribute to the creation of a predatory mindset that sees victims as objects and their personal effects as trophies. But does it satisfy them in the long term? The evidence suggests no. The gratification is usually temporary. The thrill fades, and then the compulsion returns, often stronger than before. These souvenirs, while initially powerful, might eventually lose some of their emotional charge. This drives the perpetrator to seek new thrills, new victims, and new trophies. It's a vicious cycle. The more they get, the more they need. The void inside them is never truly filled. It only grows larger, demanding more and more acts of violence to temporarily placate it. The ONS, over his long criminal career, showed this pattern. He started with burglaries, then escalated to sexual assaults, then to murders. Each new level of violence seemed to be driven by an insatiable need, a need that was likely fed in part by the very items he took from his victims. Each souvenir might have been a stepping stone, a proof of concept for the next, more terrible act. It's a horrifying progression that leaves a trail of destruction and trauma. So, when we look at why the original Night Stalker kept souvenirs, it's never just one simple reason. It's a complex, dark tapestry of psychological motivations. It's about power. It's about control. It's about reliving the thrill of the crime. It's about dehumanizing the victim, reducing them to an object. It's about collecting trophies, proof of his sick accomplishments. It's about feeding a deep, insatiable need within a mind devoid of empathy. And it's all part of a secret, twisted world that these predators build for themselves, a world where they are the ultimate arbiters of life and death, and the stolen items are the silent, chilling witnesses to their reign of terror. Understanding this isn't about sympathizing with the perpetrator. It's about trying to comprehend the sheer horror of their actions, the depths of depravity that exist. It helps us see the mind of a predator more clearly, not to excuse, but to understand the patterns, the motivations, and the devastating impact of such individuals. The souvenirs are more than just items. They are windows into a truly terrifying psychological landscape. They are a stark reminder of the evil that can lurk within human beings, and they serve as a chilling testament to the lives he destroyed, keeping their memory alive in the most macabre way possible. It's a heavy truth, but one we need to face.